Good morning, Valerie Haus. How are you?
Well, good morning, April. I am great today. How are you?
I can't complain about nothing. The weather's nice, and these fires have kind of seemed to simmer down here in California.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, because it was a hot mess, and I mean literally a hot mess.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here with me and my brains on the edge. Good morning, brains. How are you? This is going to be fascinating, because again, we have been working with a lot of people that are working with the mastery mindset. We're trying to level up, okay, before the end of the year, because 2020 is going to be something like we've never seen. And I want us to be mentally and physically and spiritually and financially prepared. What better than having another mastery mind coach here on the edge? We've got Valerie Haus, all the way from Pittsburgh. Okay, she said it's
Hi.
not a cloudy. How's the weather there? Is it cloudy and cold?
It's cloudy and it's windy. It's unseasonably warm, but it's chilly.
Oh, you
It's
get a lot of
November.
snow.
It should be really cold and it's not.
You get a lot of snow there too, don't you?
Yes, usually.
All right. Well, let me check this mic because I want to make sure. Can you hear me?
I can.
Can? All right. Well, good. Brains, we're going to talk again, like I said, about the mastery mindset. What does that look like? What is a dream builder? I'm a dream catcher, not a dream crusher. What is a dream builder? How do
It-
we progress? How do we, go from a thought to thinking to an idea to actually manifesting it and bringing it forth, feeling good about it, feeling comfortable about it, walking in that light? Um, did you know that Valerie is a tech writer? I want to talk to her about that too. And I say this in the most loving way, but that's a little nerdy almost. And nerdy is sexy. And the reason why I say that is because number one, you don't find a lot of women in that tech space. Number two, it takes a certain kind of mindset to be able to absorb that information and then translate it into something like, people like me can understand. So it's absolutely wonderful. So without further ado, we want to welcome our guest today, Valerie Haus, to the edge. Hello, how are you?
Good. And how are you?
I'm doing pretty good today. I'm doing
I'm
pretty
great.
So I'm so glad to have you here. Tell my brains a
Well,
little bit
thank you.
about you, your journey, the wonderful work that you do, and where you look to level people up to.
Well, I've been a professional writer for many years, and I recently, in the past couple of years, have expanded my scope to include life coaching. So I'm both what we call a dream builder coach and a life mastery consultant. It's all through the Life Mastery Institute, which is based in California and run by Mary Morrissey, owned by Mary Morrissey.
Well, I'm gonna see how I can maybe get Mary Morrissey on here because I'm telling you, I've had so many of her students on here, and they just rave about her. They say that she is the business. Now, she was under the tutelage of Dr. Wayne Dyer and also, her name escapes me right now. Um, Martha Beck, not Martha Beck.
Bob Proctor
Bob
comes.
Proctor.
Yeah.
Bob Proctor. But what was the other lady's name? I told you the story. Louise Hay.
Oh, yes. Well, I think
Hay.
almost everybody knows who Louise Hay was.
I
So.
told you my story about her, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
It was crazy. And so I was there in her presence, enjoying her company all this time and didn't really realize who she was. But tell me, what has this done for you? How has this changed your life?
It has changed my life as I have more peace of mind. I no longer feel like I'm going into too many different directions or not using all of me. When I was just doing technical writing, obviously I was mostly writing and sitting at a desk. And now I'm out and about more, and I'm helping people, and I feel more expansive just on my own, just with you and I sitting here. I'm just getting into things that I've always kind of wanted to do and haven't been able to do because I was restricted to a career. And it's opened up new doors for me. And it allows me to do something I really love doing, which is helping people understand and realize their own dreams that comes from inside of them and not from the outside.
Were you also in this space because maybe are you a little bit more reserved, a little bit more introverted, only because of the work that you do? I'm not trying to put you in a
Yeah, that's one. When you're doing technical writing, you learn not to, you're sitting at a desk, you're interacting with a computer, and there are people involved, of course, because it's always some level of a team effort. But it's just not the same as being out and about and interacting with people and helping people. Now, when I was doing technical writing, one of my goals was, to provide usability for people so that they could understand what they were doing, what their job function was more easily without having to delve into a lot of details that they really didn't need. So that was great, but I've moved on and I want to expand and use all of my skill sets and function at a higher level of vibration and be able to help more people who are looking to evolve and come into a newer state of being than they've had in the past.
There's so many people that are trapped in this bubble. They're trapped inside of themselves that don't know where to go. What would you say to an individual that is, maybe shy or reserved or restricted to their job? What would you say to them? What would be the first step to be able to leap forward and find a new you?
I would think the first step, and I think there's more than one first step, but I think the one I'll select for today is to begin to meditate if they're not doing that already, and go so they can connect deep inside themselves with their intuition. And there are a lot of ways to do that. There are, meditation groups and people who teach meditation. And so that's where I would start to begin to learn how to connect.
Right. And learn how to
come with the infinite. That's how you reach the infinite, because you need to be listening to the infinite in order to go through the Dream Builder program or the Life Mastery or any of the other programs that are available. So that's part of being a dream builder, is defining your own dream based on what's coming from inside of you. And we have a process for doing that.
Well, I see you have a beautiful picture, and I posted over and over again with your hands.
Thank you.
High. That means that you have surrendered to something greater than yourself, that you have just opened yourself up to infinite possibilities and wisdom and to the world. What was your aha moment? When did you raise those hands?
When did I raise those hands? I think it happened over time, but I think the biggest aha moment when I was taking a course online from, it happened to be Jean Houston at the time, who, it was all spiritually based, because I had done quite a bit of reading over my lifetime, and I started taking online courses, and I just said to myself one day, what can I do? How can I be at their level and function the way that they are at a higher level of vibration? And I didn't realize at the time it was a prayer, and I was asking the universe. I thought I was just kind of thinking out loud. But that's what got me into looking into coaching. And over a fairly short period of time, maybe 6 months, I just happened to come across, Mary Morrissey just popped up in front of me.
Wow.
And I think maybe that's for me. So I started looking into it. I took one of her courses and I started looking into it. And I thought, I think this is the kind of coaching that I want to do. So I called them.
So when you got there and you got in the room and you got in here with all these strangers and all this different vibration, all these different frequencies, some being extroverted, some being introverted, some being funny, some being, maybe sad or depressed, and you merged all this energy together, you got excited. And then you said, you know what, I'm going to continue in this trajectory. What was it about Mary Morrissey that sparked it in you? I mean, I know that you saw her ad and all that, but what was it that really made you say, you know what, this is something I want to do for the rest of my life?
She used the words longing and a discontent. You define your dreams, you have a longing and you're discontented with something. And I thought, she's the first person I ever heard say that. And I thought, well, that's me. I have a longing and a discontent all the time. So when I started looking into it more, it didn't happen overnight that I decided I wanted to get into her coaching program. It happened over a little bit period of time, maybe, 6 months or a year. But I just knew within me that it was the connection that I wanted to make.
What type of individual is the perfect client for you? Because we can't be everything to everybody, and so there has to be a gelling among the minds. There's got to be a person that's willing to open themselves up like you did to this experience. What is your ideal client?
I typically think of someone who is ready to transform, as you kind of just mentioned. But also I tend to think someone in transition, which might be, women are in this transition state a lot, I think.
Every day. You see, I switch my hair option every day.
There's something that they want. They have to be in some transition. I don't care what part of life that they're in, but they have to be aware that that's what they want and that they want to transcend and move into a different kind, have a different image for their life.
Mm-hmm.
So did that answer? And as I want to help people who are ready to transform and frankly have the money to pay for. So.
Okay, absolutely, because you know what? Change is costly. Saving souls is big business, and people need to be aware of that you have made the investment. And I tell people all the time, you're making an investment in yourself. You're not making an investment in me, you're making an investment in yourself. I tell my kids too, some things in life you just have to pay for. And so there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. This is great. So from the technical writing, what have you been able to merge into your coaching from your technical writing? Because that's very, it's documented, it's very strategic, it's very thought out. How are you able to craft that and mirror that into the work that you do as a coach?
I think because I'm going to mention I have a master's degree from Carnegie Mellon in writing. And the reason I bring it up, because their point was always usability, writing in plain English and making it easier to understand insofar as possible. So I'm just used to translating this complex technical information into simpler, more understandable terms, depending on who your audience is. And I just am doing that for so long that just seems to flow in nicely to my coaching.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah, okay.
How do you build a dream?
Well, you start by defining your dream very clearly. And in the Dream Builder program, we start that by creating a vision statement for ourselves. And I can help people through that. There's a method for doing it. It's a proven, reliable method for getting through a 12-week program that can help you build your dreams. So you start by writing it down. And we provide guidelines for doing that.
Okay, and so
it'll change over time. It can change.
So there's so many people, that are into the work of transformation and being transformational coaches. And sometimes I tease them and I say, okay, so what are you going to do? You're going to turn me into a frog? But the thing is, seriously, transformation is different. I'm an African-American woman living in San Diego, California. You are a Caucasian American woman living in Pittsburgh. The transformation for me is different. How do we find a synergy? How do we find that common ground to meet me where I need to go and for you to teach me how to get there?
Well, that's a good question. My sense of things that would come from the structure and the content of the Dream Builder program that Mary Morrissey created. It's non-denominational. It doesn't have anything to do with gender necessarily, or it's just your spirit and my spirit, and Mary. A lot of it just comes from Mary. She says, and I believe her, that it comes from the Dream Builder program, comes from the infinite, and all she did was codify it, so it's for everybody.
Right, and that's beautiful.
Client. So.
Beautiful. Because, you know, in today's world and in today's environment, everybody wants to look at everybody else as if they're translucent. Okay, I don't see this, I don't see that. That's the first
Hmm.
mistake. You need to see it.
Yeah.
You need to identify it.
Yeah. That's,
You need to recognize it because it's here to stay. But that's the only way that we're going to mold it and make it better and make it different. So I want to ask you some fun questions.
okay.
Let me just ask you some random questions and see where we end up.
Okay.
If you could paint the sky any other color but blue, what would it be and why?
Oh, green. I love green. See the
I know, me too. Green is a power color. I know.
that was easy.
And why would it be green?
Be green because that's the first thing that I popped into my mind. That's why.
I love green too.
Fresh and new.
What are 3 things that you cannot live without?
A computer, for one. And what 3 things? Well, I can't live without, food. I mean, I love good food and healthy food, and I can't live without the infinite breathing me. None of us can. So,
Right.
when I wake up in the morning, oh, I'm still here. So,
I'm telling you, because
that's the key to it. It's, we're still here.
what is the thing that brings you the most joy?
The most joy is just feeling either with another person or just by myself, my connection to the infinite and how that I'm evolving. I don't know if I like the word evolve, but how I'm growing. That seems to bring, at least these days, it brings me the most joy. And just being free of the past and recognizing and being free of biases and old beliefs that just don't work anymore and maybe never did. Just the freedom and the peace.
What were some of those things growing up that trapped you, that held you in that space?
Well, I think that's an interesting question. I think, just to be clear, I grew up in the 50s. It was a very different world. And women did what they were supposed to do for the most part. The woman's life, I learned quite young, a woman's life was cooking and cleaning and doing the laundry. And that, if anything, kind of held me back a lot. I think that's that old belief system that our culture, unfortunately, is beginning to drop. So I grew up partly during the women's movement, which was great. And that helped me begin to see that there are other possibilities. And I struggled with that for a long time. So I was in my mid-20s. I got myself into college. And I'm happy to say that the state of Pennsylvania paid for it.
Mm.
A few years later, I got myself into graduate school. When I was, say, 15 or so, I had no idea I was going to do any of that. None at all.
Wow. And so when you got absolutely. And so what did your mother think when she saw that you were this new generation of woman evolving?
Well, she was working. My father had died, so she had gone back to work in her early 50s, which I give her a great deal of credit for. She was a secretary. I think she had a lot to contend with. So I think she was happy for me, but she wasn't particularly excited that I could detect it. I think that's because it was getting to be normal for her.
Right.
Go out and do something else. I think it was news, but she never tried to hold me back. I mean, I think she tried to help where she could. And I said, just take care of yourself. I'm fine. So.
Did you have siblings?
I have a younger brother, yes.
Yeah, well, that's good because you're a trailblazer, and I know that she looked at you, from a different lens and like, okay, well, I really don't know. I don't want to crush your dreams, but I really don't know how to thrust her forward. So I'm glad that she didn't hold you back. And I'm glad that you took the steps.
No, she didn't try. Yeah, because I was 24 when I started to college. So I had been working.
Okay. And so now you run across the same type of individual that's had maybe a similar experience and you coach them. What does this do for you when you see their light bulb go off. Because again, there's a lot of people that say, oh, I want to change the world and I want to transform and I want to coach and all that.
Mhm.
But what is the ROI for you? What's your warm fuzzy when you see someone's light bulb go off?
I like that light bulb analogy because sometimes, even though the coaching is remote, it's over the phone. If I'm with somebody, you can see them physically light up, and you can frequently hear them. You can hear their energy changing over the phone. So I just love that experience of seeing somebody just get up, just have their energy rise a little bit, even if it's just, temporary. It helps. I was speaking to a Toastmasters group the other night, just for a minute or two, and I could see somebody sitting there that she was turning around, she was lighting up, and she looked at me and she shook her head up and down and smiled. This is wonderful. Then I know I'm on the right track. So
Right.
what I'm saying has meaning.
And that's what it is. It's about meaning. It's about sharing and caring. You're doing a great job. So where do you see yourself in the next, 2-3 years?
2-3 years, still coaching. I would like a full coaching schedule, but I'm looking to more time and money freedom. So when we talk again sometime in 3 years, I may be in a different country. I don't know, because you can do this from anywhere.
New men all over the world. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. So that's what I'm up to, and I'll be discovering more of that because that's a little bit fuzzy to me right now, but that's okay.
Right. It's a part of the dream. Again, the dream is not always clear until it is fully manifested. So tell my brains how to get in contact with you if they want to do some deep diving, if they want to coach with you, they want to partner with you, or if there is a big name company like Apple or Google or Coca-Cola that needs a phenomenal tech writer. How do they get in contact with you, Val?
They can call me at 412-366-8386. That's a dedicated business line.
Okay.
And they can find me on Facebook. They can Google me and find my Life Mastery Consultant website. And that's pretty much it.
Well,
they can go to the name of my company is Dreams Live Again, and they can find that on Facebook as well. So, and there's several.
Facebook seems to be the 21st century yellow pages.
Yeah, as long as nobody shuts it down. Just,
And you know what? I tell my brains all the time, I was with some people, and all of that is about to change. It's about to change. I mean, come on, they find this guy $1 billion, $1 billion, and we're riding on this pony for free. You better diversify all of your contacts. You better get on some podcasts.
LinkedIn, I'm certainly on LinkedIn. I've been there for a long time.
LinkedIn, and he owns Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So and there's been folks that have been put in Facebook jail, and you can't have a tech writer write your way out of that. You cannot. But I am so glad to have you here on the edge, a woman that shares in the color of green, that enjoys that joy is, not trapped inside of you, but it exudes out of you. I love it when you flail your arms. Flail your arms. Flail your arms from my brain.
Flail my arms.
Yes.
Really, you don't know how happy and grateful I am that I can do this now, because I've had a broken shoulder and a broken arm. And I can do this again.
Yes. Well, you know what? When you give it up and you surrender to the Almighty, you can do a lot more than that.
A lot more.
Thank you and your team and all the work that you do with Mindset Mastery, or Mastery Mindset. I inverted that.
Life Mastery.
Life Mastery. See, I know maybe I need to go take a Mary Morrison course. I'm gonna do that when she comes back to California. San Diego. Maybe I don't know if she comes to San Diego. Is it Los Angeles as well, right?
She's in the Los Angeles area somewhere.
Well, I'm gonna check her out, because I need a shift. And I'm never too good to elevate and be coached and learn how to do things a little bit better. Thank you so much for being here on the edge with me this morning, Val.
It's my pleasure.
And I think that you're awesome sauce. And come on, when you write that book, your own personal book about your own personal journey, you're looking for coaching information, Brains, I'm going to have all of her information tagged on the Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, iTunes, everywhere all over the planet. We are going to be able to find Valerie. Thank you so much again, baby.
Thank you very much. Truly appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day, Brains. I am counting on you.